Hey, if you're like me, you're probably a little bit more comfortable being graded if you really understand the process for how you're graded. So I wanted to elaborate a little bit on the participation. First of all, participation is important because that's when you really grow in your learning. You get to exercise your learning, try it out in different ways. That's why we have school and meet with others in person. So participation is expected, and it's 20% of the grade because the more you practice, the more you make gains. So especially being able to talk with people and exercise your thinking on the learning. Anyway, about the grading, participation will weekly be graded and go in the grade book. So if you had a bad week, it can average with all the other weeks, and hopefully you can bring it up. But the minimum grade for the week is a 50. If I don't see you at all, you didn't put any responses in at all you did was the graded assignments, then you'll get grades on those assignments, but you may get a 50 for participation for that week because you didn't do any of the active learning that week. But beyond the 50, it grows based on your accessibility and your responses. So accessibility is, are you present? And are you paying attention? Are you active? So you get 10 points for each of these, and you may be thinking, wait, 50, 60, 70, then I have a 70. Well, it's per day. So if it's 2 days that week, then it can go up to a 90 on just those. However, there's a 10 additional points for being meaningful, active, bar-setting contributions. You're thinking outside the box. You're inviting other students to answer questions. You're like, oh, I want to know what Josh thinks on that. That's the active, meaningful contribution. So that's the above the standard. That's why that's 100, not a 90. So anyway, let me demonstrate how I grade for that. So if I see you, then I go ahead and mark a line under your face. And that shows me that you were there. So you already have the 5 points for accessibility. Congrats, you have a 55 already. However, if you're nodding, posting a little sticky showing me that you're actively involved and you're responsive the whole time, as I see you responding, I start circling your face. And the more responses, the more involved you are, the fuller the circle. And that shows me how much to give as full credit for the accessibility part. And that's just the active participation in the discussion of the class. The response, though, is I'll ask you to do this little activity that lets me understand that you understand the concepts, or I'll ask you for an exit ticket. Please do this at the end of class so I can see. That's not a graded assignment, but it is evaluated for what do you know. So if you turn it in, I'll put a little mark by your face, and that mark represents that it's turned in. However, if it's turned in, but there's no thought on it, it's just like you gave it back to me at the end of class, then of course you don't get full credit for turning in a response when you didn't even think about it. But when I see that you've tried to apply the expectations, then you get a full check mark, and that gives you the 20 points for the class. We come back next class that week, you get the other 20 points. Now you got a 90 for the week for participation. And if you really go above and beyond and encourage others to participate, ask questions, things like that, that's where you get your 100. You may be wondering, what about the 3-day weeks? Well, with the 3-day weeks, that just gives you more opportunity to earn credit in these areas. So you had a bad Monday, you were slow, didn't really answer questions. I still keep the grading the same. It's like 5 for being present, 5 for answering questions, 5 for turning it in, 5 for meeting expectations. You just have another day to add on those 5 points. You can't get above 100, but it gives you a chance to bring up your participation. So anyway, I'm hoping to see you really involved and active. I'd love to be giving 100s for participation because it is more fun the more active our learners are.